Hey guys, this is video 7.1, Ratios and Proportions. Sit down and get comfy because this is a little bit of a longer one. Enjoy. Okay, so what exactly is a ratio? Well, a ratio is a comparison of two or more quantities. Two or more. So, these are different ways to represent a ratio. You can have A over B. You can write it as A to B or A colon B. Those are just ways to compare the two quantities or expressing them. Now what is a proportion? Okay, well, a proportion is an equation that states that two ratios are equal. So when you see something written like this, let's just call it a fraction for now. This fraction equals this fraction. Or if you want to call it a ratio, this ratio equals that ratio, that you would call a proportion. That's when you say that two of them are equal. Here are some properties of a proportion. Now this gets a little confusing. If you have A over B, then it is equal to C over D. Okay. You can then also say that the reciprocal, B over A, is equal to the reciprocal, D over C. The order matters. You need to keep the two grouped up. Since you have A on the top here and C on the top here, they both need to move on the bottom. And then down here, we start with A over B equals C over D. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking the two top letters, or the numerators, and putting them over each other. And the two denominators and putting them over each other. Notice that we're taking the A and the B that were from the first one and keeping them both on top. That's where the order matters here. And then from the second ratio, we're keeping those two numbers both on the bottom. And then the final way, if you wanted to represent it, would be A over B equals C over D, our typical ratio, proportion. And then we're going to take our numerator and denominator, add them together and set them over our denominator from our first ratio. And again, our numerator and our denominator, and set them over our denominator from the second ratio. So these are properties of proportions. All of these are correct ways to solve them. Let's get into some examples. And this is where things get a little bit trickier, I guess you could say. So, I want to solve this proportion. Oops, and I want to be able to see the problem I'm supposed to solve. So I have x over 6 equals y over 7. Then I'm going to take x over y, and I'm going to say that it's equal to 6 over 7. That's just from one of the properties that I did, right? I took the two numerators, I put them over each other, and then I took the denominator from my first ratio and put it over the denominator from my second ratio. And this would be your answer. Okay, next one. There are 65 people in a room. That's the total amount of people. The ratio of boys to girls is 2 to 3. So this is the boys. And this is the girls. How many girls are in the room? So how I'd want to write that is I'd want to identify my variables first. I would say that boys are 2x, right? Because they're 2 to 3. And girls are 3x. And then I would go ahead and I would write an equation. I would do 2x plus 3x equals 65. I would combine like terms. 5x equals 65. I would divide by 5 and divide by 5 and get x equals 13. Well, the question was how many girls are in the room. So girls would be 3. Right, from our ratio up here, times 13, and I would then know that there are 39 girls. Boom, I solved the problem. Okay, let's look at another one. The ratio of two complementary angles, so hopefully you guys by now know that equals 90 degrees, is 3 to 7. Find the measure of each angle. All right, well, I'm going to classify, or I'm going to name two angles. I'm going to say there's an angle A, and he's going to be 3x. And there's going to be an angle B, and he's going to be 4x. All right, well, complementary, they add to 90, so I will do 3x plus 4x equals 90. And then I will combine like terms and get 7x equals 9. Whoops. 10x. Wait, where did I get? Oh, it's 7. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. I can read and talk at the same time. 10x equals 90. Divide by 10. Divide by 10. X equals 9. Okay. Now let's figure out what each angle is. So 3 times 9 equals 27 degrees, and 7 times 9 equals 63 degrees. So I have two angles, 27 degrees and 63 degrees as my answer. Okay, let's go ahead and solve this one. We're just going to cross multiply. Hopefully you remember how to do this from years of solving ratios. I'm going to have 19 times x minus 1 equals 13 times 6. I just multiplied these two by each other. Well, I'll end up with 19x minus, minus 19 equals 78. I'm going to add 19 and add 19, and I'll end up with 19x equals 97. I'll divide by 19, divide by 19, and x equals 5.11. And that's your answer. And it's okay that it's a variable. I mean a decimal. Okay, this is our final example. Woohoo! A recipe uses 7 eggs to feed 3 people. How many eggs will be needed to feed 10 people? So I'm going to set it up as a fraction. 3 over 7 equals 10 over x. That's our unknown. This is the amount of eggs, the amount of, this is the amount of people to the amount of eggs. This is the amount of people to the unknown amount of eggs. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go ahead and flip them so that I can solve my problem accurately. I'm going to end up with 7 over 3 equals x over 10. That's totally fine as long as what you do to one side you do to the other. So I flip them both. And now I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to get 3x equals 70. I'm going to divide by 3, x equals 23.3. Well, you can't have 23.3 eggs, so it would be 24 eggs as your answer. All right, guys, so that's your ratios and proportions. Enjoy!